Rapt Media, we are live, man.
Aye.
Here.
We got a real legend in the building tonight, Ricochet. You know.
Welcome to Rapt Media, everybody.
Thank you for having me, man. We're up in the rap spot.
We got Bonafide Queen in the building.
What up?
Move the Gods here, Jesse Day and R here, and Ricochet.
Yes,
DJ
sir.
Ricochet from Flow 93.5's is here.
Don't do not the DJ thing.
It's not.
That's kind of one of my pet peeves. Like, you know, you see DJ Ricochet or MC Ricochet. I feel like,
Right.
Tell him.
yeah, like,
Oh, there's an MC.
I'm just saying, like, you see some of that shit sometimes.
Right,
and
and
I always wondered.
so why is
with
it
DJs,
What-
right?
because,
Like,
yeah,
do they like
people
the
see
DJ
you,
or no?
people see you, you know, like you're in the clubs, you're on the microphone. So you're right. So tell the people what is.
yeah, no, I'm just saying, because I don't want to be put in a box, right? Like,
Right.
when you say DJ this or MC that, that's what people think. That's all
It's
you
just
do.
Ricochet,
Ricochet
Yeah, it's just
in the
Ricochet.
building.
You know what I mean?
the man,
Like,
the myth, the legend.
trying to be
Right.
the voice of the city, the entrepreneur. Yes, and the MC and DJ at times
Right.
too.
Right.
The father.
Right.
The
of
husband.
course. Shout out
street dude,
Ricochet,
you know what I mean?
absolute legend in the city.
Everything.
And I know, like you've been saying, what you were saying, you know, I seen ill kids, not specifically Ricochet, out there for a long time. You know, I remember, you know, being out there in the streets handing out CDs, like before Instagram and shit. So like, tell us
That
tell us
footwork.
the early days. You know, how did those start? That start.
Man, it goes back to probably like 92 or 93. You know what I mean? Being like, I think 12, 13 years old at the time, just growing up in the hood and seeing seeing what's happening around you and starting to figure out, like, what are you going to do to pass the time?
Right.
Like, I think that's what it was about first. Like, you're just sitting around in the park. I think at this age, I just started smoking weed and started hanging out, and really, the shift might have changed. Mobb Deep dropped the Infamous.
So are you in high school at this point?
I think I'd like just about to get into high school.
So
Probably
grade
like
eight.
grade 8. Yeah.
So Mobb Deep drops Infamous.
Yo.
Life changed.
Life
over.
definitely. Yeah, like life definitely changed. You know what I mean? Because it went from being a not a great kid, but a dude who's getting in trouble here and there, but still kind of like on the line, and then the Infamous comes out,
Right.
and you're young. You see what I'm saying? You're like
impressionable.
Throw your whole moral compass
Young
out
Ricochet
the window.
out there on the block. So how did it? So how did that shift? What happened? What do you see now
I think
looking
that
back?
took the folk. That started this Ill Kids thing, right? Because
Okay.
like, it had happened before Mobb Deep, but I think it helped like mold who we were gonna be and what approach we were gonna take to the game.
So is Ill Kids just you, or was it a group of
Nah,
guys?
so like it's all the homies that I grew up with. Like, I'm talking like Juice, my partner, that's been like here the whole run.
Right.
Me and him have known each other since we were like
Still with you?
Yeah, well, yeah, you know, that's still
Right,
a homie.
still the guy.
Ill Kids has become something else or
Right,
whatever, but
right.
that's still, like I said, like I've known him since I was 3 years old. You feel me? So
Right.
you know, I'm
So
doing business
you,
with
Juice,
my family, and then AZ, and then there's been people that have come in and out.
Comical.
Yeah.
But the main three was you, AZ, Juice.
Yeah, and then later me and Juice.
And
I
so,
think.
so how did you guys make that? Because there's been a lot of DJ groups and conglomerates, but none like the Ill Kids. We can say that. And this is going back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going, like, you got to remember, this is kind of like that whole thing almost in its infancy. Before that, we had seen like the creation of hip hop.
Right.
You know what I mean? And now we're getting into the early 90s.
Right.
And we were influenced by like the dance hall scene.
Yeah.
Big
You know what I
time.
mean?
That's it.
And it was just like watching these big sounds play dances and clash, and we were like, you know what, that's the approach we're gonna take. I mean, I think if it was today's day and age, we would have been DJ. Probably not. We'd probably been making records. You know what I mean?
Right.
But at that point in time, nobody was really rapping like that. And
Right.
to get into a studio and make music
So
was
different.
Yeah, it was not cheap. It was
Right,
a situation where you're
I hear a
breaking
lot
bread.
of artists say they're from a dance scene. They're dancing. There are a lot of rappers who say, I used to be a dancer.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh-huh.
which
That
I had to do my
generation.
research and realize, there was exactly what you're talking about. It wasn't a tradition of, like you said, making records and servicing them. I remember the first time I heard Canadian MCs on TV was on BET. I was in grade 9.
Right.
Northern Thrust, Maestro, and then I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, and see what he's saying is that the Ill Kids were inspired by not that.
Nah,
You were inspired by the dance hall scene.
Yeah,
in the
it was
city.
like Jamaican culture is
Right.
what was around.
Because that's what it's like when you're out there, like, and it's not to say anything, but, when you're out there, it's like, everybody speaks patois. Like, white
Doesn't
guys,
matter your race,
everybody,
yeah.
when
Right.
you're out in the ends, it's like it's a culture more than anything. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, we have our mishmash of whatever our street lingo here is in Toronto, but yeah, it's definitely obviously. I think it's evident. It's highly inspired by Pop.
Was there a change from the mob, like when you ran into the Mob Deep Sea? Was there a change?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that things didn't change for a while. Like we were known as the street DJs. Like we were always talking for the streets, and I think that continues to this day and age. You know what I mean? At least it's something that sits with me. That I always want to be a voice.
Shout out Ricochet, the fucking guy
for the streets as much as I can. You know what I mean? But it was just like, all right, we're gonna start DJing. I think at that point in time, I was like, all right, it's better than...
How old were you during this time?
Yeah, like 12, 13 years old.
So you were in a DJ crew at 12, 13?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we knew it was a crew. It officially didn't get a name probably till like almost a year later.
Okay.
But yeah.
So when did you know that it was like, hey, Ill Kids is something now? At what point?
Man, it must have been like 16, 17. I think I was in high school.
Right.
And we had gotten offered a tour, like we were going to tour across Canada, and for me, that's crazy. It's like 95,
you guys were popping enough
yeah.
as DJs.
That
really speaks to the times.
Right. You know what I mean? And this is before social media, so it's like people across the country, you had to like approach the game. Like we approached the game as artists. Like although we weren't rapping and we weren't producing, we were DJs. We bought ads in magazines.
Right.
If we couldn't afford it for whatever reason, we bartered it. We made something happen. Like we were out there rapping. Bucks.
You gotta fucking grind, and it's like, and people like you know, like it's an unlimited grind. People don't understand the amount of grind. The amount of hours and work, you know, it looks people like, oh, amazing. How do you get that job?
10
toes down for 20 years straight.
Like,
and when everybody's, you know, downing your dream, how did you feel? Because, you know, as a creative and someone like that, there's always someone or people around, you know, trying to take from you or, you know, like take away from you.
I think that was the general feeling, and I hate to sound negative, right? But that was almost the nickname of the city. That was generally the feeling throughout the 90s. Yeah, throughout the 90s in Toronto, for you to get support, you really had to be doing that, and you really had to be a buck. There was no half stepping, there was no fake shit. Like none of that shit was really like you're not getting by on that. And you're not getting by any gimmicks.
Right.
It was really like you had to be about what you were about.
Right.
And I never paid attention to the negative shit. Like if you're from Toronto and you listen to negative shit, you're never getting on because you're forever gonna hear negative shit. Right. Your homies are gonna tell you your shit's not popping because one of them might feel like fuck, they're not gonna get on. They don't want you to get on either.
Do you think that's still the case today?
It's human nature to be the case, but no, we've changed, right? Like we've drastically changed. Like we're proud to be where we're like we say it with our chest now. You feel me?
Like recognition. This is
yeah,
us now.
Because before it was like the times that you're talking about in those early grinding days. Yeah. It's like we all thought one day it will come to Toronto when it was in Miami and these places, but it was like we never really knew.
Right, you could just hope. You just hope.
We would just like for me it was a feeling like I know Toronto. Like just keep grinding. I'm gonna keep doing what I love. You know. So now to see the guys where now Toronto's on. Right. Now Toronto's popping. Now everything that you said for 10 years, you know, is coming true. So you know, where do you see the future of Toronto?
I mean, I think we're here, man. I think we've got the future is crazy in general because look what we're living through. Yeah. You feel me? We don't know what the future is of anything anymore.
Exactly.
Right.
Like half my business has gone out the window because I can't be like. There's no nightlife happening.
Right.
There's no entertainment happening. You know what I mean?
Right.
What do you think of this online Instagram live stuff that's going on?
It's cool, but until somebody can really monetize it and make money off of it, it's cool. It's cool to keep your brand going. Some people,
but in no way like substitutes for what we're losing. Because
hell no. Me personally, I'm not trying to really. I mean, it depends on what I'm seeing, but like I'm not really trying to see a DJ go off on IG Live. That's just not my thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just popping right now due to the circumstances.
Yeah, and it's cool, and DJ should be doing that.
Yeah.
For the people that want that.
Right.
But we're not going to be able to get by on that. Like we still need to be able to go, especially the music scene in Toronto. Everything we got going on here is dependent on us being able to showcase our city, and right now we're not really able to do that.
Before COVID hits, are you a performing DJ? Are you a radio? How would you describe yourself?
Definitely on the radio. That is where my focus is these days. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm still in the nightclubs. I'm still producing events.
You'll still
working
catch Ricochet at the private listening parties. He still pulls up to the Tory shit.
I'm out here.
He's out here.
Word
He's
up.
a real supporter. Like you know.
I think that's important to be and still be in the streets in some capacity, because then you start to lose touch of what's going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? Once your feet are not touching the streets and you're not seeing what's happening, what people are feeling and what people are not feeling, you kind of, there's a disconnect now.
So is that a big part that drives you with the Made in Toronto and your part in Flow 93.5 having that voice for the city? You know, is that one of the things that drives you?
Yeah, no, hell yeah. I think from like an early age, like, you know, earlier on you asked me how this whole thing started, is like even from that age. I mean, I think we got our first radio show, and I say we as in me and the sound crew,
right?
Because that's what it was then. Like
sound
at
crew.
15.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that was at CHRY. And at that point in time, I'm like, oh shit, I'm on the radio now. Like, you knew shit was popping, because when you got back to school, all of a sudden, shorty's acting different, right?
Right.
Like
all the artists, everyone's like, yo, you're now the keyboard.
Yeah, but like, you know, that girl that wouldn't give you the time of day before, all of a sudden she's fucking with you, and you're like, oh shit, like people are listening, like you, and then you're like, now you have a responsibility with that voice.
Right, and you've built, like, people don't understand, but that's like, he's talking about high school, so it's been a build. You've been building that very specific brand. Right.
I think the goal, the brand, and the goal, and the message and the voice was Toronto talent.
Were you always called Ricochet?
Yeah. Ever since
never changed your name.
Ever since I had a nickname, two things that never changed is my name and my phone number. Anybody that got my cell number.
905 416. What do we got here?
No, we're not blowing it up.
Okay, all right, cool.
No, but it's a 416, of course.
That's verified, you know.
But yeah, no, I've had that number for like 25 years.
Right, and he's been so and absolutely now, you know. Congratulations on owning that spot. You know what I'm saying? Because aside from Flow 93.5, you have, like, it's a together thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a team thing, and you've really taken that spot. So, you know, first of all, congratulations.
Yeah, and thank you for putting on all the underground artists that you always do, because, like, people like, say, Dylan Ponders or Amari Jabari, all those kids, those are all my friends that, honestly, man, when I would see them on those flyers, I'm like, who is the genius realizing that you got all of them?
You know, I think a lot of that, though, a lot of that...
Shout out to you, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. But a lot of that goes to Mastermind, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just me. Like, we got to talk, and he's like, listen, I got this idea. You want to do it? I'm like, hell yeah. And because that's always been the goal, is to get... artists from the city heard. Like, our very first mixtapes that go back to like 95, 94, you hear the artists, like, we always had those posse cuts at the beginning, where we were just like highlighting talent, whether it be Citizen Kane or Ghetto Concept or even Drake on them early mixtapes or JD Era,
Smugglers, all these guys.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It was like that was the goal.
A wild time, and if you think about it, I remember seeing those songs like the posse cuts, like Mayhem, Moriarty, Lou Breeze. They would all come on, and it was like we didn't know then Toronto was gonna be this poppin'. I knew.
And that's what I think the difference is right there. I think that our generation has come up now, so that's why it is the way
we're
that
not
it is.
we're not doubting ourselves.
Right,
like, it's
so
automatic.
We knew this from the beginning. Like you said, you just had to put those 10 toes down, put that footwork in, and people aren't doing that same thing these days. It's a different, you know, and just like it changed from 10 years ago, it's going to change in another 10 years, and
what do you think of the social media and the internet revolution affecting geographic, like, rap, you know, dynamics? Like,
I think that's a huge part of why we broke. I think we would have blew earlier if the internet was around. We just, you had to pack up and go to Atlanta. You had to pack up and go to LA. You had to pack up and go to New York. You had to go to wherever it was popping. You had to be at these conferences. There used to be a shitload of conferences going on.
Yeah, and if you weren't a Canadian guy that was accepted and popping there, then you weren't
popping.
Not getting fucking no ratings here.
Exactly.
And Toronto's still like that. Like, it's hard. If you get love in Toronto, I feel like you've got something special, because Toronto's so hard on their own people. Because Toronto, like, the real Toronto people I know, they're cool as fuck. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, these guys, like, you know, like, Toronto has bred a real, like, citizen. And it's like, they're hard on their people. So if you got the citizens being like, you get the bly, like, we rate you, I feel like it's a real big, absolute, it's like a big...
I think that's an interesting point, because I remember, like, the online blog world really, to me, changed how hip-hop is consumed. I remember Two Dope Boys, Nah Right. You know, there was another generation of those guys. You know, shout out to all those, shout out Mecca, shout out all those guys. that it changed. Like you were
Even,
no longer
Lola, I love Lola.
Shut up, I love Lola.
Oh,
yeah,
damn.
right. Very
Yeah.
important.
Right.
You know, gatekeepers and tastemakers. At that time, it mattered what blog you made, and it affected
Right.
your buzz directly.
No, hell yeah. And yeah, going back to your question about the social media way, it geographically we're on now. Like you
Right.
can listen to anywhere. I think you start to see the rise in London as well.
Right.
In the UK.
Big time.
Because everybody's
Huge
fucking
right
with
now.
that because
Yeah.
now we're immersed in the culture. You see what I'm saying? We're able to just peep it from your bedroom, from your laptop, from your phone, while you're taking
Right.
a shit, whatever you're doing.
Right.
Like you're
so
able
accessible.
to. Yeah, it's so accessible, and our culture is unique. You see what I'm saying? We're not New York, we're not Atlanta, we're not
Right.
LA. We're a completely different story here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I
Um,
don't think people really get that unless you know the landscape of Toronto music, how different it is.
Right.
You know, because like being to those places, you know, New York, LA, it's so different.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
no, definitely. There's a different feeling in the music. Like you just hear that hunger. Yeah, it's something about it. Of course,
I feel like Toronto has this like East Coast plus authentic like Caribbean immigration influence that London has.
I would say
You
maybe earlier on there was definitely this feeling that we wanted to be like New York.
Right.
Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right,
And
right.
I think that's when you start to see the change in the music is when we start accepting ourselves and we start feeling like, you know what, fuck that.
Right. We can be.
Like, let
Who
New York
pushed
get
those
on our
boundaries?
way.
Yeah, like can you imagine a
those
little turning point
boundaries?
for us?
It was
You
Drake, yeah, hands down it was Drake.
Yeah.
But I think before Drake you had officially it was Cardi. Before Cardi it might have been Maestro. When it comes to the acts that broke through to the American culture and had people looking
Right.
in. Of course, there's no Drake without Cardi. Right,
Right.
For real.
There's probably no Cardi without Maestro and everybody in between that played their part in that whole process. But I think definitely it was the first mixtape Drake did with Smalls.
Right.
Room for Improvement. No, whatever the first mixtape was.
Right.
I remember listening to that mixtape on my way to a gig out in Kitchener, and I
Right.
told my partner Juice at the time, like,
Yeah.
"Yo, this kid is gonna be
Something.
just as big as Jay-Z."
You
I
said
think,
it.
yeah. On my heart, I like
Right,
first
right,
listen
right.
of the mixtape, got to listen it front to back on the way, and I think at that point I knew we have a better chance now at breaking down those boundaries, and then
Right.
lo and behold, history
Boom.
takes course. He breaks down the barriers. Now you have kids. Now it's like, you know, you want to be like Mike, like LeBron. I want to be like
You wanna
Drake.
Be like
Was
Drake.
Ransom with Wayne a big record for you?
What's that?
Drake and Wayne Ransom.
Yeah, hell yeah, of course. I think that was earlier on too, and yeah,
What do you was there a Drake record early on that you're like, okay, this is it?
City is mine. I mean, I remember everybody getting in the studio to do the remix for that. And I think
Oh yeah.
I can't remember who was on it, but it was a roster, you know what I mean? And it was crazy because those were the same cats that were at the beginning of all our mixtapes.
Right,
So you
right,
start
right.
to feel like there's a culture of the rappers getting together, and it just happened to be that we were cutting cuts for the mixtape, so everybody would be
Right.
in the studio together, and now you start seeing other relationships forge off of that.
And it's dope. Yeah, 100%.
So guys are starting to like,
Right,
guys are
right.
cool. They met at a session we were in.
Right.
Boom, these guys. So you're
Right.
like, oh shit, guys are building now outside of their
Right.
own
So
hoods.
how do
Things
you-
are changing.
How do you feel about that transition, watching that in front of you, like seeing the game go from,
I don't even think you realize
You know,
it when
it's-
you're in the moment.
and now we're exposed, now we're out there. as
Yeah, I
Canada,
think
you know what I mean?
while it was happening, I wasn't even aware that it was happening because
Right.
I think I was still of the mentality like, let me put my head down and grind as hard as possible so that we as a city break. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then you realize that again, it goes back with Drake, right? Like I think I realized that I was out of Miami at at a supermarket or whatever, and
Right.
some dudes happened to know I was from Toronto. Might have been from a hat or whatever, and then all of a sudden they start like two American dudes are emulating my
Shit.
lingo, like the way
Wild.
I talk. They were like, yo, you know, I there's beer gal out
Beer
there.
gal.
I'm like, what? And it's not like
Crazy.
these were Caribbean dudes or whatever. It was just like
Nah.
they were so in touch with our culture via Drake and
That's
platforms
wild.
like Six Buzz and whatever and
Right.
everything else that you know gives a spotlight to the city that they wanted to connect.
Right.
On that level, whereas back in the day, I think it was us trying
That's
to
cool.
pretend we were from New York.
Yeah, well, I
You know what I mean?
it
Like-
goes back to that because I remember back in those days, if you didn't spit bars as a rapper, you got no ratings. Like back in the days, it was a bars game, and I was just heavily influenced. I feel
Yeah,
like
I
from
remember
that.
some of
Very
the
underground.
early street videos, some YouTube videos that I would watch of Drake. He would
Right.
shout out all the rappers that were cool in the scene. He was just
Yeah,
like, I
no.
got to know so much of
Oh, there was
Toronto
so
just
much
from it,
dudes at
you
that
know.
time. JD Era, Tona,
JD Era, Bishop
Richie
Bergante, he
Sosa,
was shouting out
Bishop.
everybody. Like, and I'm like, damn, there's a scene here.
Richie Sosa.
But at the time, that's
But
how
before
rap
that,
was.
there was also a scene though. Before
Right.
that, there was also a scene. It was a circle, and it was
Yeah.
Chaclair and Socks
The
and
Mayhem
Hardy
guys, right?
and you know, guys that maybe were not necessarily from the same hood or went to the same high school. Now there's a collective. You know what I mean? And that has always been the case up until now. I feel we finally gotten to the point where we're going away from that for some reason.
Right. Like
You know what I mean?
the group conglomerate.
Just the
So do you-
mentality of the city getting together and
that
like
unity, right?
yeah, the
you
unity.
all have to have that passion the same
with
way.
the success and with everything that's happened, we've also gotten away from that idea.
We're
that
growing a little bit. Is that what you're saying? Or we're not
No,
growing?
he's saying
No.
we're losing it.
I would say
losing
that
it.
I would say that during that time, people were shouting out a scene, and that is no longer the case. People don't go into if
They're
the
not
interviews
repping
and shout out
themselves.
Bear Man. They'll say, "Well, me and my team are
generally.
doing well." That's what I've noticed personally with the younger guys.
It's more about now the individual effort. You know what I
Right,
mean? And
right,
like,
right.
yeah, not with everybody, but there are those instances. But
yeah.
the fact that we're not linking as much as we used to
Yeah.
is the one piece that's broken, because that was something that brought us to the point we got
Energy
to.
into the
And
right. Yeah.
as time goes on, polys and shit are
Exactly.
making a play, and guys are not saying, I can't really go fuck with that dude. I'm not gonna go fuck with this dude, and that's the shit.
Keeping
now
us.
that has us on the front page of clown newspapers.
Now,
and
could
shit.
this be?
See,
could
Jesse,
this
you
be-
gotta talk
could
on
this
this.
be
This
the
is important.
like? Could this be the break of us? Of you know this the. You
I
know,
hope
the
that-
whole Toronto's.
I think what we're going through right now as humanity is the break for a lot of shit. Where I
Right.
think a lot of us now coming back from this have to have a different mentality,
Right.
and have to move forward. And how that affects music is going to be interesting, right? It's like
Right.
can dudes let down that ego a little bit, and can dudes start saying, you know what, like fuck it, how are we going to get this money? Because
Right.
it's us against them.
Right,
Us against
absolutely,
them, that's
and
right.
that's
You feel
the
me?
thing. You know, I feel like coming from being a street guy and growing up in government housing, it's like what I've learned is that I was just falling for the traps. These guys, the traps are set for us. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? They
right.
want to keep you on this. Whatever it is, they want it to be in this lane, and
It's the
but I
control.
feel like people are growing smarter to be like, and that's why, to go back, I wish Toronto would get there, and I hope they can. And that's one of my main goals here at Rapt is to, educate the people so we can come together, because they don't
Right.
want us to come together. That's what they're terrified of, right? The people have the power. But bringing it back, bring us into the 2009 Stylus Awards, because that was a big moment
boy.
for you,
I think we had won Canadian Club DJ of the Year or something. Stylus Awards was dope, and I think it's something we need back. It was the first opportunity that I remember.
So it doesn't go on anymore.
No, it doesn't.
Since when, dude?
I would say maybe 2015.
It's
So
the
it
first
doesn't-
opportunity. What you're saying?
It was the first chance that we had as a culture to recognize ourselves and give those flowers and give those trophies out.
Right.
We're all here and appreciate each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
Prior to that, there was nothing. So it wasn't. It was something that would be able to showcase DJs as long as artists, singles, whatever. Just show
Right.
love to everybody that was doing it. So that year winning an award was crazy, because I could actually take something back to my folks
Right.
and be like, yo, see, I'm not selling dope. Like,
Yeah.
Were
like-
you a radio DJ at the time?
I had taken time off of radio.
But you were a radio DJ before you got the Stylus Award at some point. Was it
No,
Flow
like I said,
93.5?
no, it would have been CHRY that went back to like 95, 96.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that award, it was dope, man. Like, it was dope because I was able to show my parents, who didn't really fully understand what I was doing,
Right.
or didn't know how legit it was, and just kind of was just trusting in me,
Right,
to
right.
do me. You feel me? But that was for moms.
But was it dope too to actually, to take it back and be like, hey, it's some sort of, because I know you don't get recognition as a creative and person, and it's not about the recognition,
Right.
but that must have felt nice to be like,
It
hey,
did.
have
you
that
know,
Yeah,
knowledge,
for
yeah.
sure, it feels nice. Anytime you win, like a trophy or something, is gonna feel nice. I think more importantly, though, prior to that, it was knowing. I think I got into a point prior to that, because I'll tell you something, man. We weren't like them industry cats that everybody wanted to fuck with. You feel
no,
me?
I know that.
Like
Ill
we were
Kids
just we
was
weren't
like
really
the
playing
guys.
by any rules other than our own.
Right.
Because there was no rules to play by. Like nobody had set anything out for me that showed me that was a formula that's gonna make me win. At least,
Right.
From
So
Toronto.
you're just going off
Yeah.
grind.
And I think up until that point, what that meant is we finally been accepted by our peers. You feel me?
Right, right.
I think everybody knew we were popping, we were doing our own thing, but we were always on the outside doing our own thing.
Right.
That's always what it was. You feel me? Whatever it was, and then people were collabing. We weren't for whatever reason, collabing all the time. You see what I'm saying? So that felt like everybody was like, okay, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like we see what's popping.
Right.
So
how much do you think the club influences the radio hits that are played in Toronto? Like
I think it all comes down, whether it be the club or radio or whatever, streaming, it's what the streets are messing with influence everything else after that. It comes from the ground floor up. So like whatever people are fucking with in the streets and the clubs, you know, whatever they're playing.
So basically, if a record is hot, it's hot all across. It's not just a thing that a certain record is hot in the club and a certain.
It doesn't always work with that when it comes to radio. Just because something's hot in the club, it doesn't mean it's gonna translate for radio play.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think that's a misconception a lot of people have. A lot of people are like, yo, this shit's bopping off in the club. How come y'all not fucking with it? Well, I mean, it's a club record. Like you might play Sheck West, you know, Mo Bamba in the club. Yep. But when you're in your whip and you're driving to work, it might not be the record that, you know, you just, if you ever hear a record like that, you're like, oh shit, I was fucking with it in the club, and all of a sudden I'm like,
it's crazy you say that, because I can imagine it playing in America. I would hear it on the radio in America.
I don't know if it was, I don't think that was a big radio record.
I mean, you know,
even in the States, I remember like from looking at the numbers, it was a record that got played, but it was definitely like one of them polarizing joints.
What do you think of Sheck West? Do you like him as an artist?
Nah, not really. Nah.
There it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Like, as a DJ or, you know, radio jock, whatever, everything has its moment for me. You feel me? Like, yeah, Sheck West is a dope record. When I'm in a club, I'm half a bottle of Henny in, I'm standing on the couch, and we're having fun. I'm fucking with the record. Yeah. But like, if I'm jamming in my crib and chilling, having some alone time, whatever, it's not really something I want to hear. Right?
Yeah, more times I'm listening to the radio when I'm like in my crib, you know, cleaning and doing whatever I gotta do.
I think that's
cooking and stuff, and like I don't want to hear the same stuff when I'm at the club. When I'm at the club, I want to, you know, I want to move.
Right.
So I want to feel music in a different way. Whereas this shit when I'm cleaning and stuff, I want to be able to sing. I want to be able to like bop, you know.
You know, I think that's almost a disconnect between the generations, right? I see a lot of people who are a little older, like, I don't fuck with the current stage of hip hop.
Oh, well, you gotta appreciate.
Yeah,
it in
are you
its
appreciating
own way, right?
the moment? You feel me? There's like. Maybe you're not in that moment, and you're not, mumble rap's not your thing, or drill is not your thing, or whatever. But if you're in the moment, you'd be surprised.
If you indulge in that too, if you actually indulge in it, you'd be surprised, because I see a lot of people that kind of flip, where they're like, they say that they don't fuck with it, but then you know now that's being pushed by their kids or that are getting older.
I feel like
when they're being pushed, you know, with their kids listening to it now, and then they start grasping and stuff. They're like, oh, okay, all right.
Toronto radio plays a lot of like classic hip hop, like 90s, like golden era hip hop, quote unquote, like 2000s, like Destiny's Child.
I don't think there's any clubs that play.
No, I mean on the radio. I find Toronto like urban radio to be very like, you know.
Toronto urban radio, and for the most part, Canadian urban radio just consists of Flow on a commercial level,
right.
G98.7.
Yeah.
And whatever college stations there are, you know, or university stages, like shout to like Vibe 105 and whatever the other stations are across the country. There is no real urban radio.
So how do you want to see that change and evolve?
Yeah, speak on that. That's a great.
I mean, it's funny, right? Because urban music. Well, let's stop using that word urban.
Right. Corny as fuck.
So you don't like that?
No, I don't fuck. Nah. Like from the jump, it was always a mask for some bullshit.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, come off of that.
And if we really want to go,
I never liked being put in a box that said urban music DJs or nah. Like it's hip hop or it's black culture, whatever you want to refer it to. But it's not this urban.
Stop
makes
giving
no
it
sense.
some bullshit names.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah,
where do you want to see it grow? Because you know you're a purveyor of where do you want to see it?
It's the most consumed music right now is hip hop. So the fact that rest of Canada or the you know the people who are making the decisions or the companies that have these licenses to broadcast are not accepting that.
Right.
But it's also because. Are people ready to hear that on the radio? We got to remember, like, all of Canada is not Toronto or Vancouver or Montreal. Even those three cities are completely different. Right. So maybe there's not room for urban radio to be in Red Deer or in St. John.
Right. But okay, so speak about like Toronto and Southern Ontario. Where would you like knowing?
I would definitely, you know, for better or for worse, considering that I'm at the Canadian radio station that plays hip hop. I would love to see a competitor come along.
Right.
You know what I mean? I would love to see somebody else come along like, you know what? We're gonna flip our format and we're going hip hop now in Toronto.
Full hip hop.
Yeah, because at that point in time, when your city has 2 hip hop stations, you know now.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
We're taking this serious, right? Like, I
Right.
would love to see this get to a point where the gatekeepers, and I mean the real gatekeepers, you see what I'm saying? The people at the big media corporations and the big, where that big money is, start to really look at hip hop and black culture and accept it for what it is, and not try to like do some weirdo shit where you take the culture and you flip it for your narrative.
And which I can't stand that shit, and that was a big reason behind starting Rapt. It was because, like, you're right, because, you know, as you get bigger in the game, you start to see, you know, the people that are the gatekeepers and the key holders, and it's like, this shit is corny as fuck.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like, I'm just using, like, whatever, not Gatorade, but you see a commercial on TV, and it's like, I'm sorry to say, some corny motherfucker that's trying to look like us, but it's not us, and it's him.
Right.
When we
have such a viable
why not
culture.
go to the Mandem and give us those roles, give us those opportunities? You see, I want to see that. I want to see this shit evolve to that, where you accept the culture for what it is and show love and embrace it, not just profit off of it.
You know what I think it is?
I make it look all, but it's not.
Especially within our own communities, especially within our own communities.
Yeah.
Once that unity comes, that's it. It's over.
See, the problem is these guys.
I want to see it beyond the community.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So once that community comes
right.
together and they unite, it's over because that's where that real recognition.
Well, and I think what he's saying though is like a real contender needs to come up that the community can come behind.
Press, yeah.
You know, I'm not even saying that. Like, I'm not a contender. Just
not
gives
contender.
People options.
Right.
And
we just talking
it's better
about growth.
for everybody. You know what I mean? It's just growth. It shows that we're going all in. You know what I mean?
Right.
It just, you know, we're just dibbling and dabbling in the culture in Canada.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel that
that comes. I'm talking on a media level. On like, you know, when you turn it on your TV or whatever. Right.
And you know what? I think it really though, you know, it comes back to many levels because, you know, even growing up, it's like Canada's always been behind in fashion and, you know, shoes. You had to go to the States to get, you know, like, you know, Canada's always been behind. So it's kind of a weird like spectrum because we've got number one, we've got Drake, but we're still kind of like the same thing. We're still kind of late.
I would beg to. I would argue with you on that a little bit, man. Like, I don't. Well, that's because online shopping, but I feel like we're not. I just feel like the media and people that are able to make the decisions and showcase the culture on a mainstream level are not really fully accepting it.
Right.
Okay.
And why do you think
that's the problem?
Why is it? You know,
it's because it's foreign. It's still foreign here in Canada. Like in the U.S., it's different, right? Our population is different, and I think we're still behind. We're still 10 years behind the U.S. and everything.
That's what I was trying to get.
So if you've seen Sprite fucking with Juicy J 10 years ago in their ads, well, maybe we're now starting to get there. You feel me? Like we're now. Those opportunities are coming, but I would love to see more of them.
Right, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. You know, it's kind of like we're still, you know, they're not accepting it. Like, you know, we have the number one basketball team. We've got the number one artist in the entire planet, yet you're still not fully accepting it. And where you take Atlanta, there's multiple radio stations, all totally supporting their artists.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Atlanta, you go to Atlanta, what's playing on the radio is all the stations. It's like hip-hop, and they support their artists so hard. You know, and like you said, you know, here we got Flow, and thank God we got guys like you and Mastermind there. You know what I'm saying? And so, how did that come about? Like, how did you end up getting in with Flow?
I think going back, as soon as the city had gotten that radio station, that made perfect sense. I'm like, damn, I kind of want to transition into that.
Right.
But then other things came into play. It's like, okay, well, if we're touring, we're getting to other things. Is that the right timing for something like that? So for whatever reason, it never happened. I kind of forgot about radio after I had left.
And then Flow, kind of went, you know,
Flow
into
ownership changed. Right. It got bought by a bunch of different companies throughout those years. And format changed with the management and company, whoever was at the helm at that point in time. Things have kind of changed. With the Stingray coming in now and Stingray purchasing Flow. I think they were really adamant on bringing back the brand to what it was known as and what people expect from it. And
Smart
people want
move.
from it.
Whoever
Yeah, hell
made
yeah.
that move, smart move.
Very smart move.
So then, how did it transition?
So then, it was the dude Mastermind. Like Mastermind, I would definitely say is like my one of my OGs, my mentor. You know what I mean? I always
Right.
looked up to him.
Right.
Especially him being an Indian dude and being a DJ and being fully immersed in the culture and being part of it.
He was
Right.
absolutely
It related to
inspirational.
me. You feel me? Like it just related to me. It was like, okay, I can relate to that, and I'm gonna try to emulate that as much as
And
possible.
he saw your grind.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean? It came to a point where we were both on a level. We respected each other, and I
Right.
think we had become close friends later on in our careers. And
Right.
the opportunity popped up, and he's like, "Yo, you know, Flo's looking for somebody. Just
You got this.
yeah,
Yeah.
why
I
don't
knew
you
you
why
got
don't you
it.
shoot a demo in and see what happens." And I was like, nah, I don't know.
No,
I was a little
it's still-
hesitant. I didn't know if that was what I wanted to do.
Now, was this the beginning of the rebrand when they took over?
Yeah.
This is
It
right
was-
at the
it was-
beginning,
I mean,
okay.
I think I had come in a little bit before.
Right, but this was right at the
everything's
beginning
happened.
of the new flow.
Right. This was,
Okay,
yeah.
so you're like, nah, then.
And then I think it just got to the point where it was like I was kind of tired of touring. I think I was doing like at that point in time I was definitely DJing, and I was in like Montreal every Friday.
Right.
I was going out to Newfoundland. I was just traveling a lot, and it was like all my gigs, and I was starting to get tired. Like you know what I mean? Wanted to be around family and
Right.
whatnot.
Right.
And I was like, okay, this just sounds like the perfect fit.
A little
for
more
where I
stable.
am now. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Not even stable, because I don't think there's ever been a point in my career where I doubted
stable.
this lane. I
Right.
knew that this is my lane and I love it, and I dedicate my whole life
And
to
it
it. So
shows.
the money's gonna come back in return because
Right.
it's authentic and because there's a love
Absolutely.
for it.
Right. So then you send it in.
Yeah, and it's just like, they're like, this is a perfect fit. Let's make that.
Because you got the
Awesome.
voice, like it's a perfect fucking fit.
Thank you.
So
I would hope so.
right, so they go in, and then where did it go from there? Okay, this is the new flow.
Yeah,
Boom.
this is new flow, and then we're like, how do we, with me and Mastermind being there, like I think the discussion came where he's like, how do we show love to the city? And he already had this Made in Toronto takeover thing floating around in his head.
Right.
And that's what really like caught me. It's like, okay, cool. I really love and appreciate being on the radio and doing my show on the radio, but I would love to circle back to what it's all about for me, which is
Right.
spotlighting talent.
Right.
You know what I
And
mean?
just like
Especially
giving
from our city.
back to the culture.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. And then the Made in Toronto takeover came about, and
There
I
it
So
think
did
that
you
kinda-
did you have to take it to your bosses and kind of
Yeah,
pitch
no,
the idea?
of course, man. Anything on that level, like if corporate's not
Yeah.
okaying it, it's not happening.
Yeah, so
And-
tell us about that, because a lot of people don't know what that
Yeah,
process
and that's
is
great.
like.
That's great
Right.
because it shows that the company was ready to invest in Toronto talent. Like we go back to saying like we want these big media corporations to show some love and expect,
Right.
accept it for what it is.
Right.
Well, Stingray made that investment, and they're like, okay, we're okay with doing this. Like we actually support you doing this, not
Right.
just being okay with it.
Right.
Makes a big difference.
And it makes a big difference, right?
Because then you feel like I got the wind under my
yeah,
wings,
like
we're
everybody's
gone.
with it. Like we're all like, it's
Right.
not something that we're trying to force upon somebody. You
Right,
know what I mean?
because you don't want to do it if everybody's not in.
Nah,
At
I
this-
would still do it anyway.
Like, you would
Throughout
still
my
do it,
career,
but-
I always would do it. But
Right,
it makes
right.
it feel better to know that people are actually behind it.
Right,
And
with
it means something.
So then the launch. What was the first launch? Made in Toronto.
You know
launch.
what? It came about because it was Toronto's birthday. So it was like
Okay.
on March 6th or something. And it turned out it was just supposed to be a whole day, not a regular show.
What year is this?
It was like 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago.
I know it seems mad recent.
I'm bad with years and dates and
right,
shit, bro. Like,
and from there, what's the response been from the artists?
great, man, because for a minute I kind of moved away from working directly with artists. I was more so in the nightclub capacity and
Right.
touring as a DJ and as a DJ for artists,
Right.
and whatnot. So I wasn't really experiencing and working with all these other artists, right?
Right,
so
right,
it,
right.
it brought me back to that part of my life where now I'm dealing directly with the artists, and I'm able
Right.
to give them advice, or I'm able to point them in the right direction when it comes to business of music and whatnot.
Right.
So
And instead of just being like around and supporting them DJ, it's like now you have actually something to give back.
Yeah.
It's like come because
give back is an important thing, and
Right.
that meant a lot to me because like I had made mistakes and I had been in all types of situations.
Right.
Now I think just like everybody else that came from our era,
Right.
it was kind of like your duty now to like show the other dudes how to get it done. You feel
Absolutely.
me? Like how are we gonna make it happen? Because if there's nobody to show you, the motherfuckers are gonna go through the same shit we went through, make the
Right.
mistakes, and we're all gonna be behind. So
Like-
for me to be able to like
give back.
chop it up with cats and point them in the right direction, like I said, like that really makes it why I do all this.
And it makes it, it makes it more than it's just not a job, you know. Like
it's
when
part of
you
your
get
life,
when you get a job, like even this position for me, it's your life. So when you get the job, you know, at Flow, it's just like this is you, this is your lifestyle. You get to give back. You get personally from it too.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah, you get it.
You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get personally from it too. What do you think you gain personally from it the most?
Wow, it's stability probably.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going real fast. Like I needed to pull the handbrake, emergency brake. You
Right,
feel me? Like
right.
shit was like it was just, life was getting like days were starting to mingle together,
Right,
and it just
right.
getting really tired and abusing my body because I had been at the game 25 years, and like
it's late nights, it's drinks,
yeah, it's drinking,
it's
yeah,
you know, it's
sleep
everything.
patterns
and all that.
And
right?
as you get older, that shit starts catching up with you. You feel me?
Right.
And,
so this was a perfect.
Not saying like an old head or whatever.
No.
But it's just I
Guys are
got to
young
the point
still,
where I was
huh?
like, yeah, I want to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, and it just worked out perfectly with the timing.
Yeah.
So do you find like if you could look back, do you have a feeling of like, wow, shit, I just trusted in myself and you know it was kind of like predestined?
Yeah, I can't see how I brought myself to do that. I can't see now looking back like how did I trust myself to do this? To grow up and know that I'm not gonna follow the typical career path that's laid out, that's guaranteed that okay, I'm gonna go to university, get a master's degree,
right,
and and I'm gonna get this job, do that for 40 years, retire, and boom.
Right.
Never along the way did I ever think like that.
Right.
So to look back now, like if my kid came to me and said, "This is what I'm gonna do," I'd be like, "Oh shit!" Like,
yo,
how are you gonna commit to that? But committing to that is like that's when you know you're really doing this. When you make that commitment that you're not gonna. There's no plan B or plan C. It's just like okay, plan A, and
you don't
everything
waver.
is plan A. Yeah, you don't waver, right? So making that commitment to myself is like, I think that's a secret to like everybody that's semi-successful or successful or whatever, like is they've committed to themselves. And you see that with everybody.
And the other thing just after that, you know, you got to be committed to yourself, and like you said, it's just like you have the vision, you stick to it, and it's like with the football, people are gonna bounce off, and you know, but you stick with it, and look, this is where
can't
you are.
let nobody interrupt your vision, bro. You can't let
Right.
nobody get in the way of what you see and what
Right.
you like. You can take advice and listen, yeah, sure,
Right.
but like
Right.
don't let nobody break what you like. Yo, dude, like for our whole career, somebody's like, you gotta change your name. The Sound Crew thing, Ill Kids, like the why is the logo was like a screw face, and they're like that. That's nobody's gonna fuck with that. Do something else. And a lot of times we're like, should we? And we're like, nah, man, fuck it. Because that's when it starts being not authentic and not real and not true.
Exactly.
Right.
You know what I mean? If
How
I start,
important do you think the DJ in modern music?
What's that?
How important do you think the DJ is in modern music?
Man, technology
With
changed to
streaming, you
me. Technology changed what it means to be a DJ to me. I'm like, and some people might take offense to this, but to be a DJ before Serato, before you were able to store your music on a laptop and play them on turntables or CDs, CD players, whatever. You had to invest in yourself. You had to have records. You had to like vinyl. Like this, you had to go and buy this shit, or the labels had to fuck with you with what you were doing, where they gave you the records. It wasn't just not anybody could be a fucking DJ.
Yeah, if you weren't in like a record pool.
Yeah, if you were in a record pool, then you buying your shit. And like records are like $9 a pop. So you need how much records you go through in a night? We probably went through like a couple hundred records a night.
Right.
Imagine that, right?
You'd go to play the record and just like see what's new and go fishing through there and buy LPs.
That's like there was a day on Thursdays we used to go to tracks. On Thursdays you go to tracks, all the new shit drops. And But
like I'm wondering how important DJs and like breaking a record these days in Toronto, like for example.
Oh no, hella important. Sorry, I thought you were getting at something else. Yeah, no, hella important. Yeah, of course, DJ, even in its current state, is still somebody that influences. You know what I mean, I think like it's crazy. Like DJs are probably the very earliest form of influencers.
Right. And because DJs have transitioned so much, I feel like you're not a DJ. Like you know, you can't put you in that thing because
like the DJ was like the DJ was the first thing that like the first branch that popped out of the tree. You feel me? Was the DJ thing, and I was like, all right, cool, this is cool, and then. Using my voice and saying, okay, I'm going to take a lead as an MC as well and be a host and use, use that part. That was another thing. And then other shit popped off too, right? Other branches grew. And then like, I think that's a lot of DJs. They're not just DJs. Like if you can be successful and make it as a DJ, especially in Toronto, and you have the balls to go up in front of 2,000 people or whatever and do what you do,
and
you're
talk
gonna be
confidently,
and talk confidently, right? There's like that has a lot to do with. There's confidence
and feeling comfortable in the room. Like you can't. There's you can't be shook 1 second.
That's it. You gotta be comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah, facts. You gotta be. Yeah.
Once you can do all that, and those are all ingredients to being a successful DJ or rapper or music mogul, whatever, is having those ingredients. So once you have that in your toolkit and that's a part of you, you're forever going to be successful. Yeah. Whatever you do. You know what I mean? And I don't think DJs just stop at being DJs.
Right. So if you had unlimited funds, unlimited everything, what's the next 3 years for Ricochet? What would you do? What would you build? Here's an unlimited bank account. What do you want to do for the city?
Wow, that's crazy. Man, the infrastructure, right? Like that's what I want to build. I want to further build upon the infrastructure, right? So we need more programs like Remix. You're saying infinite money, then the first thing is feeling comfortable. Comfortable is not the word, but just having that safe feeling within the city where everybody's not feeling on edge. So how do you do that? So you're saying I have unlimited money, I can address some of the issues the government can't then, right?
Right.
So that's give these guys and give everybody, give the people
open the
resources,
community centers back
up. Like just resources to build and to be successful. Like ain't nobody teach me about real estate.
Absolutely.
You feel me? Like I learned that I could have learned that 7 or 8 years earlier than I originally did.
Right.
But if you told me that I could have bought a condo back in 99 or some shit with 5% down or 0% down, and rent the shit and was peanuts, I would have done that and built my wealth, right? And I wouldn't have to do other things to get money.
Just didn't know it.
Right. And I think that would go for a lot of people if we knew if we were taught the things that other people are taught for whatever reason, for family or whatever. You feel me? For my thing, it was my parents were immigrants, so they weren't.
And see, for me, like it's a total other life. But it's like I was 19 before I learned that you get a mortgage for a house.
Right.
Like I remember talking, and I was like, yeah, how am I ever gonna buy a house? You think I'm gonna be able to save $360,000? And they were like, you get a mortgage, and like that fucked me up.
Right.
Because I was like, yo.
But it's like who's teaching us that shit, right? You don't learn. You don't learn it in school.
How the fuck am I 19 and fucking like think I'm never gonna own a house because I'll never be able to save $300,000? Right. That's fucked up.
See, luckily I had my OGs to put me onto that, right? But that's what I would want to do. I would like if I have unlimited resources, just be the ultimate OG and be having those opportunities available in media and things that pertain to what I'm passionate about. Which is, you know, is the culture, man. For
Seeing
the most part.
City grow, the culture.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And giving everybody opportunities so that we all live better, man. When there's less bodies dropping in the streets, everybody's feeling better. Everybody's spending money. Everybody's getting in. Everybody's happy. We're flourishing.
Yeah.
So I want to see that.
And we know, like, if you're from it, you know, if you're from the grind and the gutter and shit like that, nobody wants to live like this.
No,
you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a
bro.
shitty life. It's nothing to be glorified.
Hell no.
It's years of oppression and desperation, and it's like it's nothing. It's just we need to.
It wasn't like I was gonna get to a certain point in my life and have enough dough and still live in the same place I've been living for 20 years or 25 years, 30 years. If I have the option to get the fuck up out of there, that's what I'm doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's unfortunately my surroundings. You know, I was seeing things that I probably normal person doesn't see.
Right,
you feel me? So I don't
How
want to
different
stay
do you
in that.
think it is these days to make it as a DJ compared to when you were?
I don't know how profitable it is and how much it makes sense as a career. And you know what I mean? It's not going to be now. You're looking at the odds are just crazy because everybody's a fucking DJ.
It's
and
over,
DJs
dang.
like I've heard DJs charging $100, $150 to do a gig like that.
Sell
You
out
can't.
their shit.
You can't really maintain a business with bringing in that kind of money, right? Like
right.
There was a point in time where you know. People were shelling out dollars for DJs, and that still happens. But for the majority of guys, unfortunately, they're getting paid peanuts.
Yeah. What's like the median for a Toronto DJ?
Pay?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Who it is.
It's not who's the DJ. It's who's the person.
I think going rate is maybe like $300, $350.
You think that's way underpriced?
Hell yeah.
For
Hell yeah.
a
How
DJ, a pure.
How you like? Nah, you gotta invest in your shit. Nah.
Right.
But do you think there should be a minimum per night?
I think there should be a creatives union.
Do
you think there should be a creative
There should, and you know what? DJs might not realize it, but there is there is a union, Canadian musicians union that you can join.
But they're not out here.
Tell them.
Are they out? No,
man.
You know
like
what?
I've had them. I've been doing a gig, like, but it just serves different purposes. But it's still like something to turn back. Like I I hurt myself out in New Brunswick.
Right.
And I had my equipment out there. They were able to get my shit together and ship it out.
Nice. So they're out there for you.
Yeah.
See, these are resources
For DJs.
that are unknown.
Yeah.
You know,
We're gonna put this out. We're gonna let people know how they can
Well,
get
even
that.
like everybody in the business,
right?
You know, if you're in the business of music, it's an option for you there. It's something that if
Well,
you think it's
Jesse
useful
talked
to you,
about it
you do
earlier.
right? If not,
this platform is kind. You know how he asked a question if you said I would make infrastructure. You talk about having OGs show you about real estate. I feel like the fact that we here are sitting here, you know, are talking about these things. Like you said, you just learned something.
It's
I learned.
it's opening the conversation. Right?
Absolutely, and one thing we take pride on is like we sit here and we learn. You know, Jesse knows everybody in the industry.
Right.
So most of the time we're like, holy crap, look who's here, and you know, it's a learning process.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's what I like about this platform. And we're happy as hell that you were here. You know what I'm saying? There's so much that. How do you even say anything? You know what I'm saying? There's so much.
Yeah, absolutely. But
that you have to offer. But it's like, how else would kids? Like I know kids that tune into this show that don't really listen to radio. They don't have a car. Right. There's no radio at home.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah,
So
there's no
Live,
support. And like you said,
shout out you for coming. Thank you so much. By the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like on top of no support for these kids, it's like when you're a creative, like when you have a creative and entrepreneurial mind. You're a lot of the times like the black sheep. So on top of not having the resources, you're made to think like, oh, you're not following the very strict plan that we've set out for you. Like you're already having a rough time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Underestimate
and then on
off the
top
bat.
of nothing, so it's like for guys like you to push through, and for everybody that's grinding out now in Toronto and in Ontario and everywhere.
So
do you think it's easier to be a successful DJ instead of being a successful rapper? What do you think is more easier? Or do you think
I think you just got to be successful. It's either you're successful or you're not successful. Yeah. Whatever it is, rapper, DJ, whatever, you're going to be equally as successful as much as you put into shit. Without trying to sound like, fucking like I'm Gary Vee or some shit. Like, you really, if you put everything that you need to put to whatever you want to do, that's going to help you get successful. Now, is it automatic? No, of course. Shit could be stacked against you, might not happen. But to give yourself that chance, you need to be ready to go you go all the way. Yeah, you need to go buck.
If you're not going 150%, then forget about it.
Like I tell that a lot of times to rappers that be sending me music. Like, yo, I'm like, you have radio? I was like, nah, not really. I'm like, what are you trying to do next? Nah, I'm just dropping this and then we'll see. I'm like, then don't do it.
Right, fact.
Get it out.
You know what I mean? Just leave it. And like, if you're not gonna take the shit seriously, and it's not like I'm not saying don't do it, but then don't be coming to me and like, okay, I'm gonna play your record 30 times, and then you're not gonna drop another record for a year. I'd rather give that opportunity to somebody else, where it's gonna support their career, and they're gonna use that to get on their next record and bam, 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 bam.
And
do you have like a Ricochet checklist of when somebody says, "Hey, I want to put this on the radio"? Do you say,
the first thing I listen to on a record is it got to be mixed and mastered properly.
Do you listen personally to every record?
Yeah.
Okay, you hear that, guys? Man's listening to
every single record that comes across my
platform. Right.
Yeah, there's some records that don't make it to me.
Right.
They might not, have what it needs. They might not even have read the fucking form properly.
Right. Because there's a lot of
you got to say like, yo, do you have permission to use the beat? Or did you just take a beat from
what is it?
Cash Money AP and you didn't pay the lease fee on it?
I do a lot of behind the scenes like marketing shit, right? And it's the same way. People will come to me and it's like, oh, I got this and that. I'll be like, bro, don't even do it. Like, you're not ready. Like, you're gonna waste your money, you're gonna waste your time, you're gonna waste my time, and I'd rather not take the cash because you know what? It's my brand putting shit out too.
Or continue to do it, but you're just not ready for that next step.
You're not ready for the step.
When you're ready for the next step, you'll have a plan. Like, there'll be shit planned out for you. Not every moment is the exact same moment you should be jumping on. Like, you gotta wait for your moment.
Now, you deal with a lot of, and the same way with me, we deal with a lot of different varied artists. What do you think the issue is? Because we're almost there as Toronto, but there's something holding us back. Like, what do you think it is? Do you think it's because Toronto's got the juice right now, so everyone's kind of got like a little bit of
the only thing holding us back is everybody knows what's holding us back, bro. It's the polys, B. That's the only thing holding us back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fact.
Because like American labels are not going to get involved with anybody that's going to have all this baggage.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. And if they are, that's not going to be everybody.
You're going to have to be exceptional.
Yeah, you're going to have to be exceptional. They're going to have to fuck with you on a level where they're willing to take on that baggage, and that's not going to be everybody.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean,
because one of the first questions these guys ask is label like, can he travel to the States?
Yeah, if you can't get across the border, then how you doing shows?
Know, like, it's just not interesting. Yeah, it's a fucked up thing.
How you doing promo?
Right.
Do you think Toronto or Canadian artists have to sound a certain way to appeal to the American market?
Nah. All that shit is over. You don't gotta sound like anything to fit any box. You can be whatever the fuck you want to be and be pop. Just you can sing about cows. I want to be a cow, moo.
Right.
And all of a sudden have the #1 song on Billboard.
Right. Absolutely.
And
that sounds like a great song.
And say some fucking crazy shit.
Yeah.
And a couple weeks later, everybody's like, you're still cool.
What do you think of Lil Nas X?
Well, whatever, man. It was Weird Al Yankovic to me.
Yeah,
That's
fact.
a
Weird
good-
Al, man. That guy.
It's like
Amish
parody
Paradise.
shit. Like it's fun. Like it's not. It's like.
It's not the real.
It's
culture.
not
Like-
weak. No, it's not weak. But like I said, like there's so much subcultures of hip hop and music in general. Like you have
now
drill. Now you have drill. Like that. I put that into like a category, like comedy rap or some shit.
Right.
You feel me? Like,
but not country rap.
No, he's not a country rapper, bro. That's the only record that he had that was.
That's just a gimmick shit. That's
that
just a
was for
gimmick
him to
with the
get
labels, right?
People, yeah.
So have you found yourself having to? I know because going back again, we grew up in the bars era, and when the Drakes came out, he caught a lot of flack, and these new wave, the Futures and shit. I found myself like, hey, I'm just gonna let go and evolve with the culture, not worry about the bars and that, and that's why now you find that important?
That's always been like that.
Right.
That's always when Woo is Protect Your Neck is a huge record and Biggie Unbelievable or whatever is a huge record. They didn't want you to play it.
Right.
They weren't ready for it.
Right.
When shit's popping, the bars and shit, they're not ready for that.
Right.
They're like, oh, we don't know what's going on here. You know what I mean? They get scared sometimes.
Absolutely.
So like that's always been the case. Now I think that's a little less because I think, like I said, this like hip hop culture and black culture and hip hop music in general is now popular music.
Right. It's evolved so
there's
much.
There's nothing else like to fill that. That is the pop music.
Right, and
the baby is a pop star,
and we
not
talk
a hip-hop star.
and we talk about that a lot because we all know here, the roots of hip hop and black culture and urban culture, whatever you want to call it, is New York hip hop bars and this and that. But it's grown, it's inspired such a greater thing that it's like culture now. It's like pop culture.
Yeah. No,
it's shoes, it's food, it's how.
It's everything. It's
Right. But that's a conversation because as somebody like, and I'm not calling anybody out, but like Joe Budden, he's really hard headed on the like. I see him and I'm like, dog, you just need to grow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you just need to accept it. You know what I'm saying? But, like, I see that and think, like, dog, I know where the sentiment is coming from.
Right.
But, as a purveyor of the culture, I feel like you have to grow with the culture and accept it. But has that been hard for you?
No. I don't think so. I think from the jump, even getting started, like, in this whole business, it was accepting what it was coming at the time and not just immediately dismissing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, just being like, okay, like understanding where it's coming from and appreciating everything for what it is.
Right.
So personally, I don't want to interrupt, but speaking of changes in time, do you listen to like all eras of hip hop on a daily basis in your personal time, or do you listen to new stuff?
To what's relevant for me? Am I listening to
like what are you listening to now?
Grandmaster Flash? No. Am I listening to Biz Markie? No, because that wasn't what I was fucking with.
Word.
You know what I mean? But do I go back and listen to the Infamous album? Yeah. Do I listen to Lil Baby's new album? Yeah.
Like what's the playlist on the way down? On the way over?
Yeah.
What's on?
Oh, it's Sunday, man. It was all Lovers Rock on the way down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we got the
vibes.
Okay. So you're just vibing, cruising and vibing.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
The way.
Also, I'm not always listening to like. It's like when it's your job, like I'm not trying to hear that shit in my off time all the time. You feel me? Like
100%.
It's like people are like, "Yo, what do you listen to?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I was
radio.
listening to fucking The Doors' last greatest hits or some shit." They're like, "What? You weren't listening?" I'm like, "Nah, bro. Like I stay listening to that all the time.
Right.
I'm consuming it so much that I need to like
Take a
train
break
my ears.
from it.
Yeah, take a break. Like let my ears hear something else. You know what I mean? So I'm not like just looking in one direction.
Yeah, and that's crazy because we were literally just talking about that yesterday. It was like, you know what? It was like, yo, put on a tune. I was like, turn the music off, like.
Yeah, sometimes
like just turn the music off, like, because I just need, like, we're so immersed in it, It's like we already have to find ways to, find a balance with our family and life because it's 24/7 nonstop. I'm gone.
Right.
So how's it been finding a balance for you?
Balance between
Ricochet coming up the grind, and then now as a family man,
balance has been, I think, in the phone, right? Like, I gotta just, like, I think for fucking sanity's sake, sometimes it's gotta be like, let me not look at that for 5 hours,
right? And just spend time with the family.
Yeah, that's the only way to balance anything out. I find is not being consumed with what message just came in or what email or what's next on the agenda. Go. I think I've gotten to a point in my life where shit's gonna happen on my terms now.
Right. That's super important to be able to get there, at that point, because I find that's you have to do that.
Right.
And we just had this Blackout Tuesday, and the entertainment industry was most, they came along with it. And I thought, like, that day I posted the thing to black just to support, like, the black thing to support. And that day it was for connecting with the community. I didn't touch my phone that day. And I thought at the end of that day, like, this entertainment industry needs these blackout days because our jobs are so full time. It's beyond full time.
Yeah. Well, I think in general, a lot of people are talking about a 4-day work week. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you just need everybody, whether it be this music, like, you work in an office now versus back in 1960 when you left the office. If you didn't answer your house phone, that was it.
Right.
Now some couriers coming by with some shit. Now even the dude that works at an investment firm, when he leaves, he's connected all day long. And he has to go through it. So it's the same shit that we deal with, right? It's like there's always people expect things to happen right away these days.
Right.
And that goes for everybody. You know what I mean?
Right. And that, you know what? And it's
not realistic.
It's not realistic, and it's tough sometimes convincing people of that. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't see that. It's like people want it right away, but it's like, hey, this was built over the last 20 years. This isn't a right away thing. What you bring to the table can't be bought, can't be taught. Right. This is learning. This is like all those years. Do you think that creative, like creatives in general, do you think creatives are undervalued?
That's a hard question to answer. I'm sure, yeah, for sure. There's always somebody trying not to pay you for what your work is worth. You see what I'm saying? Right. So I think so, but I think, like, once you believe in your own self-worth, you figure that out after a while. And it's like, we're not talking in the same conversation. If we're not on the same page, then you're not in the same conversation. No, we're not having the same conversation. So let's not focus on that and keep it moving.
So have you had to have have there been people that you felt close that just didn't get the same kind of vision, and you had to just kind of go your ways?
Oh, hell yeah.
Lots of times.
Hell yeah. And bro, I pulled up here by myself.
Yeah.
15, 20 years ago, it would have been 4 cars pulled up. There would have been 12 of us. You feel me?
Right.
And now, for the most part, like, I do me. You know what I mean? Because that's where I know what I expect.
Right.
And I can give that to myself. I know, and if nobody else can't guarantee that to me,
absolutely,
then I can't wait around, or I can't. And I think that's important for everybody to realize. Like, you can't help people, or you can't fuck with people that don't want to help and that don't want to be like, you might have a different vision.
Right.
You might want the fucking big ass house and be bringing in 5-6 M's a year and rah. And somebody might just want the fucking 2,000 square foot house and an $80K a year and pay his bills and and he's good, he's comfortable. You know what I mean? I can't hate you for that.
Right.
But we're just not seeing the same. We just don't want the same thing. So we'll be doing, we'll be cool as what we're doing. But I'm over here. But I'm gonna do this.
Right.
You feel me?
Absolutely.
I think
what advice would you have for young artists trying to get their music on the radio and get it to the next level?
Make sure your shit is like, this is a business, bro. This is like, you're selling a fucking product. Like, you're selling something. So
that's your brand.
Have the shit packaged properly. And when I mean packaged, I mean, like, just be ready for radio. Like, if that's where you think your music, be ready. You can't. People like
have the swearing edited.
Well, yeah, you gotta have your radio edit, have the shit mixed and mastered. Make sure your songs are on all streaming platforms before you come to me.
Right.
Because then it's like, okay, somebody wants to find your music after they hear it on the show.
Makes you look like a schluck.
Where are you going? Like, where's your music living? So if it's not if it's not living anywhere, then don't even come to me yet. You know what I mean?
Right. You ain't
So
ready.
you research like their brand and shit. You look at
No, I'm going to first. I mean, the simplest thing to do is if something comes past my desk, I'm like, okay, let me pop open social media and see what this person's about. Let me
check
try
their
to
gram.
try to see what's popping, what kind of wave they're on, or do they have support from their people? Like because I can only play 14 songs a day, something like that, 14 to 16 songs a day. I got to make sure that I'm giving that spot to
the people that deserve it.
Yeah, the person that deserves it and needs it, and it's going to further their career.
Right.
So if your career is not ready to be if your career is not ready to go, then I'm probably going to be like, nah, let me give that slot to somebody whose shit's ready to go. Like their shit, like you know what I mean? Like imagine it's a car, that shit's painted, it's buffed, the wheels are on, they fucking wrap the bowl around it. You're at the dealership, you're ready to get in that car and drive now.
Right.
If the car is still in the shop,
you're not ready.
Putting on fucking parts and shit, then it's not ready. It's not going nowhere.
Yeah, and it's the same thing like going into record labels vouching. You know, I know a lot of, talented guys, super talented, write songs, but I can't go into the label and be like, because I'm going to say, check this guy. He's going to look up the gram and Spotify, and if it's not booming, like I wouldn't even bring it there because then it'd be like, what are you doing? Like, we're not in the business. The industry's not in the business of finding talent and building them all up. Like, they want an already running train. You're getting this many mills. Okay, let's make it this many mills and make a quick
But that's
deal.
also where the business is. You don't need a big machine to get your shit ready to go.
Right.
So the big machine now is just financiers for the most part, or distribution.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because at the end of the day, you're building your brand. Everybody's shit's in-house for the most part. You feel me? There's a creative director, there's a manager, there's a road manager ready. Like, that's what's so crazy now about our scene in Toronto. It's not just a rapper and he's looking around. Everybody in the set needs to have a play position.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think we've seen that like here in Toronto with like EXO and with OVO, like
Right, it was very inspiring.
When EXO jumped out to me, everybody there was doing something. You feel me? Like everybody had like something they did.
Right.
It wasn't just a man standing around not doing nothing.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly.
And that's what you need, right? You need everybody firing on all cylinders, so you don't need to go out of house to go do your shit. And when you're in wherever you're at, you're all in the same place. You're always thinking that same goal and working.
Yeah, to build your own shit. You
know
what I mean? Like, you want to build your own thing, you have to have, like I say here, this is not just a me thing. This is everybody involved.
Yeah, if you need
the
some
videographer
content and somebody needs to shoot something,
bro, like,
you need to be able to be like, yo, grab the camera, let's go shoot this shit right now.
Right. And exactly, like, when you're when you have a team firing on all cylinders, the residual effect is just like undeniable.
Well, ain't nobody can't do it by themselves. I don't give a fuck what anybody tells me. There's no fucking way. And if you do, you're super extraordinary.
Right.
You're a generational talent. You're like
able
to
pull
that shit.
Right.
You need your team around you. And anybody thinks that they don't, like, they can just fucking do it on themselves. Usually it doesn't pop off.
They're gonna fail.
They're gonna fail.
No, because
I don't know, but it usually doesn't go where
me and Jesse firmly believe that you need a team and a manager to get to the next level, and we've had people come in and say, "Nah, you don't need all that." So we're very adamant about you need a team to succeed.
And I'm adamant. Like, I only go from experience, and it's like I know the amount of energy, time, and dedication it takes to properly manage an artist. And let me tell you, I wouldn't have the energy at the end of the day to get in a studio and record anything.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because a lot of people approach me. They're like, "Yo, would you manage me? Would you do this, da da da?" And I've always kind of moved away from that, because to be a manager, you have to have the ability to care about somebody else more than you care about yourself. You feel me? Like, that's so whoever that artist is, I gotta care. That artist's life is more important to me than my own shit at the moment.
Right.
And obviously there's other reasons for it, because when it takes off, you will benefit in the back end. But like, you gotta have that mindset. And if you can't do that, then that's not a manager. Like, if somebody who can't, somebody's like too busy to do shit, that's not.
Nah.
Because their whole reason for being there is to make sure that what you need to be done is getting done.
Right. Exactly. And especially when you get to an artist on a little bit of a bigger scale, it's like, you're busy. Like, I know Lucas, like, he's busy.
Yeah,
he's a hard worker.
This is what he's doing. This is not you're a part-time
No,
for
you're
him.
invested. Like, you're talking these guys off the ledge. They're young guys. Like, you're fully invested.
Like, I'm pretty sure there's not an instance where he's not looking at his phone. Like, you see what I'm saying? I put my shit away for a little bit. I have the ability to do that.
Yeah,
him as a manager.
5 hours? What? Everything fell apart. Where are you?
Yeah, like if he's sleeping and that notification goes off, I guarantee you he can't just be like, "Oh fuck it, I'll check it right
Right,
You gotta
right.
like look at that shit and say, okay, what's going on? This is what's happening. Boom.
Right, and you don't want to do shit without the proper dedication. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's why you shied away from it.
Yeah, it just for me,
Because-
it's just like, yeah, it just wasn't not my lane yet. Now, I'm not ready
what are
for
some
that yet.
young artists in Toronto that you like coming up?
I think we were talking off air. Northside Benji's probably like one of my favorite artists coming up now. AR Paisley's a spare, like that dude got bars.
A.R.
You see what I'm saying? I
Paisley.
fuck with him.
He's a solid dude too.
Yeah, when it comes to producers, I think I told you like Kevin Rowley's one of my favorite producers coming out of the city right now. The list is
Right.
so long. It's like, where do I start? Like Cocanina got a lot of dope records.
Right. Cocanina, yeah, shout out. They got a beautiful new studio opening. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
I was just out there. We were talking about a bunch of things. Beautiful.
Man, the list, like,
And see everyone
LB Spiffy.
and everyone you just noticed isn't OVO XO, and everyone you just mentioned, I put in the category of like the gray area of Toronto. And why I say that is this: it's like OVO XO, very established. And there's guys that are working towards getting in there, but there's also a lane of people that aren't really worried about trying to get into OVO or XO.
Nah, yeah,
they're just doing their own thing, like
that's
the
what's
AR
great.
Paisleys.
And that's what's great. They're figuring out their own XO,
Right.
Their own OVO,
Right.
Because they've seen the blueprint, they see what's popping, so they know
Right.
now. And that goes back to what I was saying. They know that all the homies, everybody's doing something.
Right.
You know what I mean? This dude just sitting there. All right, you got to learn how to do some.
Yeah, like
graphic
there's
work.
no time for
You
anybody
need to learn
sitting
editing.
around.
There's no time for that. You need
Yeah.
to pick up a camera. Like
Now, in your personal shit, do you make quick work of the people that are are just no good out the gate?
I've got now
Right.
where I'm at in my career in my life. Yeah, it's like if it's not a buck, then fuck it. Let's keep it moving. Let's not play these games like we're interested and we're gonna make shit pop.
Yeah.
If the vibe is not there and the energy's not right,
Let's
let's
not
keep it
waste
moving.
any
There's
time.
no time to waste. you feel me?
Fact.
But
Where-
growing up, like I
Right.
probably got suckered into a lot of shit, and it just some shit didn't pan out.
Right,
Some
and I
shit
feel
did.
like
But I had the energy for it then. And the
right,
time.
yeah, and you're just growing. And those times, I feel like it's a very either way. You weren't an artist, but you guys were pushing as artists. So
I always felt like we always marketed ourselves as
It's a
artists.
creative thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Regardless, it's like a creative thing, and people are they hold that shit tight to them. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
for sure.
I forgot what the fucking question I was saying. But let it that the fuck out.
You're
Shout
holding
out
tight to your
Strains.
creativity.
Yeah, before that, I don't fucking who knows. Rat Media,
great.
baby. Where do you want people to check you out?
These
can
days
people find you?
these days just on social media, just Instagram and Twitter.
So
Although I
shout
gotta
out your
get
IG. What's your IG?
Ricochet on air. So
There you go.
if y'all don't know how to spell Ricochet, just
Do you have records
it out.
coming out? Like DJ
Records?
Khaled?
I don't know. I've thought about that a lot. I don't know.
That'd be cool.
You have no
Because
conclusive.
he definitely helms the power, and see that's
I feel
why,
like he could.
Especially being
We've
from where we're from.
dropped records in the past a long time ago.
But not like
now. I don't know.
dropped.
Maybe I'm thinking about it.
I feel
Because
like
it makes
Imagine
sense.
Ricochet with all the young guys.
Yeah, I'm not ready to I don't like I said I got so much things going on
That
that I
would be
would need the team and the support. Like
Right.
maybe I would need a label to support that. Like I'm not about to get in a situation where I'm
right
gonna try to do it
bite
myself.
on, fucking take on more than you can.
Yeah,
Look
you know what I mean.
like
If
a
I do
goofy.
it, I want to do it right. I don't want to just
Right,
put out a
sure.
record for the fuck's sake of putting out a record.
I
If
feel
I'm
like
gonna
that'd
put
be
out a
huge for
record,
the
it'll be like
community, like especially just coming up and listening to you on the radio all the time. You know what I
Right.
mean? I think that'd be huge on the community. The
Yeah, I
same
think it
way.
would be dope.
Like
It'd
you
be
said,
fun.
reflecting off of DJ Khaled specifically. You know?
It'll be
I'd like,
cool
"That's
because I can
dope."
get like the guys that I really fuck with,
Yeah.
and you know,
That's
what
what
I
I'm
mean? And then going back to the Ill Kids thing, that was
Right.
always what
idea.
we
That
were
was
doing.
the
The
point,
idea of getting
perfect,
guys
right.
together to do records, just like you see Khaled doing. You know what I mean? And we got some guys together in some really dope moments. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we need to keep moving forward with that kind of sentiment and
Recognize
bring
that love.
Toronto together.
Yeah.
You
Bring
know what
that
I'm saying?
underground out, man. Like, cause
For
your
sure.
taste is very good, man. You know everybody.
Really? Yeah. Thank you.
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, it's like that's the job,
Respect you.
right?
No,
Well, I
for
don't say the
sure.
job. That's the love for the shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Love for the
You
culture.
crush. You destroy that record, man. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just a fan of the culture, you know.
So absolutely,
it,
like
right?
shout out what you do for the culture. It's much appreciated here at Rapt. And
Yeah, man.
by
Shout
the
out to
city-
everybody that
city
does.
of
Shout out to you
Toronto.
guys for doing for the culture.
Absolutely.
Everybody that's
Thank you,
watching,
thank
and they know they put in their work, man.
Absolutely.
Shout out to you for coming here, man.
Thank you, bro.
Blessing.
Absolute
Thank
legend.
you, man. Good convo.
Check them
on
on
Sunday,
Flow
yo.
93.5 Rap Media. We
Yes,
out, baby.
sir.
Yeah, man. Rap Media. Thank you for coming.